This is the Max Yao Leadership Podcast.
My career was going well. I was CFO by the age of 26, traveled the world. Like on paper, everything was great and I had a good time. What I didn't see, or what I felt maybe, but I brushed it off because I think it was normal, is the lack of... You can teach leadership to any leader in the world if that person is not inspired, if that person is not open to listen to other people, if that person doesn't know how to deal with the ego, is not going to inspire and empower your team. It's not going to happen despite all of the training. So I would really say before the training, help them to understand themselves better, help them to go through a journey of self-discovery by themselves. Very important, because we put a lot of effort in our job, but we just need to use those skills in our personal life. If there is something that you don't know in your job, you're going to learn, right? Either you're going to have a diploma, either you're going to go on Google and look at seminars, free tools. If you have a problem, you're going to do everything you can to solve it at work, right? Then do the same in your personal life. If you don't know what you like, then dedicate some time to find the solution. I've realized one thing. The key in life to perform at your peak, both in your personal life and in your professional life, is down to just one word, which is
Welcome to the Max Yao Leadership Podcast. My guest today is Lucie Lachaux, CEO of Changing Minds, who is joining us from Dubai. Morning, Lucie.
Hi, good morning, Maxime. How are you?
I'm really good, and thank you very much for joining us today. It's really an honor to have you on our podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lucie, for anyone who is joining us now and just tuning into this conversation, why should I stay on and listen to us today?
Well, I think if you feel that you always have to choose between a great career and your well-being, you must want to listen to that conversation, because we are going to find ways to integrate both.
Very good. That sounds intriguing and very exciting indeed. And maybe let's start with the beginning. Where was it like where you grew up?
Well, I grew up in France, in the countryside, in a very small town. And, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. My dad was an entrepreneur and he decided to build this company the day I was born. So that created a bit of a challenge. We try to make that work, and we did make it work. I was loved, I had a family that loved me, and I understood very quickly how important working hard is in life. And I think my parents were really good in giving me that value, that hard work pays all the time. And that's how I've been brought up, really.
Very good. In France, and today you live in Dubai. What took you from France to Dubai? How did you make the change?
Oof. So since I was young, I wanted to travel the world. I liked the countryside, but I always thought that I wanted to do something else. And that was from a very young age. And so when I was 19, I was doing my bachelor and I had the opportunity to go abroad, and I selected to go to Taiwan. And that experience was really eye-opening for me. I love discovering other culture. I love living alone and being independent. I really liked that. And that's where it came to me. And I thought, I really want to live abroad. I want to discover the world. So after Taiwan, I went to Barcelona. And after, when I had my first job as a finance controller in Clermont-Ferrand, so in France, quickly I had an attraction to how to build business abroad. And so through my work, I started to build business models for other countries, traveled a lot, and that's how they offered me the position of a CFO in Ireland. So my first trip was in Ireland, which I loved. I had, except the rain, I have to say the truth, because I was in the west of Ireland. But that experience taught me a lot, and I felt like I grew up a lot. Also, traveling is really a way to grow and to learn a lot of things. And so from that, after 4 years in Ireland, my contract was either you stayed in Ireland and you have a local contract, either you can go to another country. They offered me the choice between Boston and Dubai, and I decided to come to Dubai because I've built the business model here. I knew the business already, so that was easier for me in terms of a job, I guess. And also it was sunny every day, and I wanted a bit of sun after those 4 years of rain. That's how I came to Dubai as a CFO for a pharmaceutical company, a French pharmaceutical company here.
Very good. Lucie, I saw one of your posts on LinkedIn, and for some reason, I immediately connected. As you go through your journey, it's quite remarkable how similar our paths have been. I grew up in the Ivory Coast. Wanted to travel and live abroad. Moved to Paris, then from Paris to the UK, back to France, Switzerland, and now again in the UK. And work with companies who gave me the opportunity to travel everywhere, and also in finance. So it's quite remarkable that this type of experience could be replicated everywhere. What did you really enjoy in your time as a CFO?
I really liked being a CFO. It's I'm not those people who quit their job because they hated finance. I actually really liked it. I think the impact that you have on a company, the fact that you really actively participate to the strategy. I was very lucky because in my previous company, I had a lot of freedom. So they really trusted me, and they let me, have a voice and work along with the CEO. So that was interesting to both manage the operational side of it and the strategic side of it. Also, the funnily, let's say, but I really liked Excel. So I enjoyed building reporting. And I think the magic thing with CFO that we don't really see, at least that's my point of view. We only talk about the figures, and we think that being a CFO is only being behind your Excel document and only analyzing. But the real challenge for a CFO is to create a story from those figures. So what I particularly loved was to express certain data in a way that hasn't been seen before and express a story through those figures. And I think that was what I really, really liked the most. It wasn't only about hitting target, being on budget. It was really about telling a story and using figures and reporting to say a story. And that I really, really enjoyed.
Absolutely. And I like to say always, it's different people who doing their role differently, and some will be behind the numbers, some will be on the ground, some, like what you described, who really look to tell a story and move everybody in the organization toward delivering around that story. You also worked in different countries, different environments, very international experience. What was it like moving from country to country, and how did you adapt every time to new environments?
So there's always a moment where you need to listen and to observe. It's very important. You cannot come to a new country thinking that your way is your way, even if you have to implement processes, because that was my role. I came to a company there in order to make it grow fast, so I needed to organize some changes, obviously. But you cannot just come and say, I know, and you just follow what I'm saying, There is a time, and that's my favorite time, where you listen to people. You look at all of the details, and I think that's really the reason why it worked for me so early is because I really have this ability to observe the detail when people are talking together. How do they act? What is their gesture? How do they react to certain things? You have to pay attention to this both at work and in general in the country, so you can really understand the culture. You will not understand the culture of a country within only the first months. I think we're always learning, even after 4 years, I was still learning things about Ireland, for example, but still, you need to really observe and be able to adapt to every environment. So that's where the emotional intelligence comes. That's where the empathy, that's where the ego has to be dropped, because you don't know, yet you still need to make the people trust you. And so to do that, there is only one solution, is to come with an open mind, to really listen and observe and understand that maybe you will have to do things differently. Maybe there will be another way of talking that needs to be implemented for people to trust you. But all of that needs curiosity, obviously, and observation. So really for me, the number one things to do when you travel those countries and you try to build trust and to build team across the world is to have a phase where you don't share too much opinion, you don't really dictate anything, but you really observe the environment and listen and learn. There's a lot of learning.
Absolutely. And also I find, starting this new role in any environment brings always a lot of challenge, let alone having to do that in different countries. What was your experience like, starting the new job, taking the new leadership role, and looking back, what advice would you give people who are taking on a new responsibility or starting a new leadership position?
I think at the beginning of my career, I didn't have those tools of emotional intelligence, and my ambition, the fact that I really wanted to do a lot of things, wasn't to just overpass other people. It's just because I was very curious, but I didn't know that I cannot just come and say I really want to do this because we are a team. So learning that very early is important. That I think that is actually a challenge that maybe a lot of people at the beginning, young leaders would want. They really want to take on a lot of tasks, and they really want to prove to themselves and their boss certainly that they can do it. But the biggest lesson is you will not get there if everyone hates you. And even if you get there and everyone hates you, it's not enjoyable. So really the key to do that is to work with people, to understand and communicate as much as you can in order to get there. Now, my position in Ireland, I went from finance controller to CFO. I was 26. I had no idea what am I supposed to do as a CFO. And literally, it was very scary. So it wasn't only just taking a new position, it was a big jump and a new country. So in that sense, again, the challenge was to understand the culture, understand the accent. I have an accent, but Irish people do have an accent too. So understand the language and learning to deal with all those fears, I don't know if I'm good enough. I'm French, will they understand me? What if I don't know A, B, and C? How am I going to manage? And so instead of feeling overwhelmed by that, use curiosity. I talk a lot about curiosity, but that's really what saved me for everything in my life. If you come as a learner and you're open to say, I don't know that, let me have a look at it. You're open to learn. For example, I took a certification in tax over there also to understand better. But I did that with an open mind and with vulnerability. When I don't know, I don't know. I have idea, but I had to ask question and saying, I think we can do it this way. What do you think if I talk to the CEO? Instead of trying to come and pretend that I know everything because I really want to keep the job, I really want to keep the position. My strategy was more to be honest. When it comes to work hard, I know how to work hard. That is not a problem. But when it comes to challenges and something that I don't know, I would say it very openly, and I would learn about it. And I think that's the challenge that a lot of us have. When you have a new position, it's difficult because you want to show that you can do it, but at the same time, you don't want to say that sometimes you don't. But I would recommend to say when you don't, because we will tell you once, and once you know it, then it's done, and you can move forward.
Absolutely. And you learn from that interaction with others, indeed. What about your team? How was it like managing teams from different culture in different countries? Did you see any difference in what you had to adapt on your leadership style?
I saw a change mostly in Dubai. Because you have much more different culture altogether. So in Ireland or in Europe, at least from what I've seen, most of the time you have maybe 80% of the team that is from the same company or the same culture. In Dubai, you have different cultures in one team. So I would say managing in Europe was okay. Of course, there are challenges, but it was much easier compared to managing in Dubai. So again, when you have that, I always communicate as much as I can, and I always put my intention. I believe that if I do something wrong, but I say my intention before, then the person understands. For example, if I enter in a conversation to express something that I disagree with, for example, I will start the conversation by saying, listen, I want to understand what's going on here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't see something, I'm open to understand that. Can we have a discussion about it? Because for me, the way I do things are like this. What do you think? So it's really about asking questions and sharing your intention that you're not here to hurt. Maybe you will say something that doesn't resonate with them or that might hurt them, and you don't want that. So better say it. I always say that better say it. Better say what is here. You're not here to fight. You're not here to, make the person uncomfortable. So say those words. Say, I don't want to fight. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I've noticed this. What do you think? So question and intention for me has been key in order to manage teams that are a bit more difficult, if I can say that, or at least with many cultures.
Absolutely. It sounds like you had a very rich, interesting, varied experience while working in your corporate job. What changed? What made you decide to leave? How did that happen? Was it one day you realized I want to do something different? Was it gradual? How was it like over time? Tell us about it.
I think to tell you about it, you need to maybe understand a bit my personality. I have a very I think I have a lot of duality in my personality. I have this part of me who is very empathetic, who is artistic. I played the piano for 10 years. I write songs. I have this side of me. I'm hypersensitive. And at the same time, I have the other part of me, which is very strong. I used to compete in weightlifting, lift weights, high performance, achieving high standards. So I'm always, like jungling with all of that. Saying that, now my career was going well. I mean, I was CFO by the age of 26, traveled the world. Like on paper, everything was great, and I had a good time. However, what I didn't see, or what I felt maybe, but I brush it off because I think it was normal, is the lack of the other part of me. The part where I am with people, the part where I build a family, the part where I make friends, the part where I take it a bit slowly, This part was completely gone. And so with time, it showed in my life as a big sense of emptiness, a big sense of loneliness also, because traveling the world, you have to remake your friends all the time, and a lot of sadness that I couldn't really explain, if I could say so. And what happened wasn't that I decided to just quit everything to become an entrepreneur. What happened is when I was working in Dubai, my company in France were going through some reorganization, and they asked me to move to France after a few months being physically in Dubai. And I didn't want that. And so we entered in the conversation, and unfortunately, I resigned from that company because we didn't find a solution that works for both sides. And when I quit that company, first of all, it was really like a breakup because I put all of my effort with that company. with all due respect, because it was a very good, we there was no fight or anything, but still, it was really like a breakup. And all of a sudden, I have to sit with myself and to see who am I despite being a CFO, and that I had no idea. Because I was always working and I was enjoying the ride, that was fine, despite those little feelings that I was feeling on the side. But I just pushed that away because I thought that's normal, it's part of the success. And all of a sudden, I wasn't busy, so I had to sit down with myself. I wasn't a CFO, so I had to figure out who I was despite a finance person. And that was very difficult to me. It lasted a few months like this until I found another job. But when I jumped into the other job, it was too late. It was too late. The second part of me was like, you can't perform that like that. This is not you. There's so much more. You can live differently. That's really what I felt. I was like, I love finance, I love business, I want to make money for sure, but I cannot get rid of all of the other things that I have on the side. And I needed to figure out a solution. And I needed to understand what was happening and why, despite everything that looks good on paper, I cannot find that happiness. What is missing? And so when I quit my second job that I told you, which was the end of my corporate career so far, it wasn't to become an entrepreneur. It wasn't to become a coach. It was to figure out what was going on in my mind and what is the solution to make sure that I can perform and at the same time be happy. And what is the story here? And that was really my journey. And so from that, I discovered coaching on the way. And when I started my coaching training, I just fell in love with it. And I thought that's something that I think I can do. I think I've been doing that my whole life, by the way, but I think this is where I'm supposed to be. So let's try that out, but let's do it differently. Let's target and talk to those people who feel that they have that duality in them, but yet they still want to be happy. They don't want to have to choose. And so how can I help those people? And what can I set up? What type of company can I build in order to help those people? So that is the story fully.
Very good. There's a lot to unpack there, and thank you for sharing. If I take you back to the time, so you said you joined the second company after you left the French corporation, and I imagine that was locally in Dubai. How long did you stay with them, and why was it while working there? Because you started to have that realization that you wanted to do something different. So what was Monday morning while working on that company, and how did you manage to show up still in your job every day?
Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible because I wasn't motivated anymore. I'm very extreme in a sense that if I do something, I have to do it with love and passion. And I wasn't inspired to do it anymore. So that was difficult. I was exhausted, I didn't want to do, I didn't have the motivation to set up new projects. I didn't have the motivation to learn. I was going there, but I wasn't enjoying the ride at all. And I had a conversation. I called my dad, I remember, and I told him, Dad, this is going to be the most difficult conversation in my life. I need you to sit down and to listen to me for an hour. And he said, all right. And I said, I'm not happy. I know you don't understand because you see that I have money and everything, but I am really not happy. I think that I want to try something else, and I'm still young. I don't have a family. I know Dubai is expensive, but I really want to try to do something else. What do you think, basically? And he told me, Lucie, you're 29 years old. You have a good brain. You have a good CV. You have money on your bank account. What do you want me to tell you? To stay in a job that you don't like? He told me money is a tool. So use it. Use it to build a life that you want. It comes and go. Don't hold yourself, don't become sick to go to a job that you don't like anymore. And I think it wasn't, to be honest with you, I don't think it was about finance, because I like finance and business. It was more about the lifestyle. It was more about the way that I was performing. I didn't know at that time how to perform at my peak and at the same time have a fulfilling life, or at least a richer personal life, And so that's how it happened, and the reason why I made that move.
Very good. And how did you feel after that conversation with your dad, and how long before you made the jump after that conversation?
I felt relief and I quit my job the next day. So I told you I'm very extreme. And my mom, so my dad and my mom are very different. My mom is a very much not a risk taker. So I didn't have a conversation with her. And I think I was worried. That's part of the fear that you have, when you want to quit a job, you don't know what your family is going to think. And that brings a lot of stress to you. So I knew my mom wouldn't accept, or at least would not be happy about it. But when I had the conversation with my dad, it was like opening a door to me. It was instant. Really, it was instantly. I felt something like a click, and I was like, yeah, actually, why am I not doing it? What's the risk here?
Is it fair to say that you knew what you wanted to do, but you were looking for validation? That's why you went to your dad and not to your mom?
Yes. So 4 months before, I quit a company that was very, very close to my heart. And I said bye to a lot of career. The job that I refused was a transition manager all over the world for all the new subsidiaries. So that was my dream job. I already 4 months ago, I did that by myself. I went through it by myself. I didn't talk to anyone because no one understood the reason why I did that. Almost everyone was against me. So that time, I really needed, it was very rare for me to ask for help, but I really needed someone to tell me, just go and you can do it. I just needed to hear it from someone because it was too much on my shoulder, I felt. And so yes, to answer your question, I knew what I wanted to do. I just needed a bit of a push and someone with a very rational mind who can help me to see clearly instead of listening to my fear. And I think the minute that he started talking, it was done. That was sure. And then that's why the next day I organized a meeting with my boss and I said, I want to leave. And I said, I want to leave tomorrow. It's not, don't keep my visa. I'm not coming for like 3 months of, the notice period. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm not staying for sure.
So that's the clarity you had that helped you make the commitment to the new life that you wanted to build. Did you know what it means? You said you didn't know that it was going to be coaching. What did you think you were going to do the next day after you resigned?
The plan was to not do anything and to figure out who I am. That was the plan. I didn't know what was it. I didn't have any idea of what I wanted to do. But I knew that I wanted to do something different. I thought that the problem was my job title, the skill, the finance. I thought, maybe I don't want to do finance anymore. So let's see what can I do. But deep down inside me, I thought, you know what, everyone is doing something online. Why can I not do it? Like, I'm sure I can try something. I'm sure I have skills that I can use differently. I was really, really open to try anything as long as I understand better who I am and that I do something that is closer to what I want. I needed this inspiration back in my life. I needed this, little fire where you're working so late because you're so excited about a project. And for me, it didn't matter. And still today, I still stand on those words. It doesn't matter if it's entrepreneurship or corporate. If tomorrow someone comes to me, a corporate, and tells me, there is this project or this thing, do you want to do it? As long as I have freedom, as I can express myself and as I'm making an impact, for me, it doesn't matter. This is not either one or either something else. But I needed to find back something that lights me up. That was the plan. Relax, go to the gym, learn meditation, and figure out what is happening in your mind. Why are you so unhappy? Why are you feeling so sad and empty despite all of those things that you have? That was my main target when I decided to quit my job, not to find something else. At least I have calculated money-wise how long I can stay without revenue. And so I thought at least for 2 to 3 months, I do not do anything.
What advice would you give anyone listening to us now and they think, that's it, Lucie just gave me the push, I want to change job. I want to leave my corporate job. What message you have for anyone who wants to leave their corporate job?
Well, I would say be curious about this feeling. What is it? Why does that happen? And get clarity around what life would look like to you. Because a lot of people that are in very tough, high pressure environments, and sometimes they come to me and they said, "Oh, I just want to, relax on the beach." But that is not being honest with yourself, because if you've built a career and if you are at a high responsibility job, it's because you love the responsibilities. You love being busy. You love, working on project, and that's fine. If we put you on the beach doing nothing, you'll be bored. Even me, I'll be bored after 2 weeks. So it's important to understand what would you truly want to do. Escaping on the beach would be fine for like a month if you want, but then what? What is it that you want to do? And getting some time in your diary and daily to introspect about this, to say what type of job, even if you don't know the job, but what are the things that you like in your job, for example? What are the things or the tasks that you can do every day without complaining that you really love? Even if it's one task, but look at it and try to figure out what does that mean. Does that mean that you want to work with people or independently? Does that mean that you have an interest in this industry or in that industry? And start asking yourself some question like this. You don't have to quit your job like me for without a plan. I would definitely don't recommend that. But it's important to spend sometimes, even if you feel unmotivated, even if you feel exhausted after your job, to really ask yourself some question like, what is it that would look like to me? What are my interests? And make some Google research with an open mind. Don't start thinking it's impossible because I need 50K. It's impossible because I need a certification. Don't think about the how, just think about what your life would look like if you would really be yourself and if you would be excited about projects. So introspection is important on a daily basis, taking some time for yourself.
Absolutely. I had a conversation the other day with someone who used to be a tech entrepreneur. He built his own company, grew it to become a large international venture. And when he sold that business, he thought initially that he was going to start another company, but then started to have some feeling of emptiness and decided to quit his job, to not start another company, and moved abroad and started this new venture of to figure out what he wanted to do. And today he's focusing a lot, or over the past few decades, he focused a lot of his work around this midlife, working with people between the age of 40 and 60 years old, where a lot of this transformation happen. And his message is, we usually talk about midlife crisis, but actually it's not a crisis. There's some physiological, neurological, parental changes going through our lives during that season, and these create new energy that you can build something new with it. And you were not in that age bracket when that happened, although you recognize very well it's not a science that happened here and there. But the other thing that he shared during the conversation that I liked a lot is our brain, before a certain age, like to think of things in ors. It's this or that. And as things go on, the two hemispheres of our brain start to talk more together, and we are able to see things differently. It's no longer or, and we can see and. And I think my interpretation of that is it comes with experience of having experienced certain things and try certain things. So I'm curious how you feel today. I don't know how long it was that you made the change. And do you think that there was an opportunity for you to still stay in your corporate job and find that fulfillment? Or do you think that the change had to happen, that you had to make a clean break and move to something different?
So for me, it happened 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And no, I think my journey was this one. I don't think I could have found my way in the corporate, mostly not the corporate where I was at the time. But I think it was not possible because I was gone mentally already. I don't think it was a burnout, I wouldn't say that, but I was really gone mentally and I was suffering a lot mentally. And for me, I cannot, it's just the way I'm built, I guess. When I see something that I wouldn't recommend, when integrity is an important thing to me, all right? So I always said in my life, you need to live the life that matters to you. And here I was forcing myself in something that I didn't like. And I just couldn't live with that. For me, there is always a way to make money. And I know a lot of people have responsibilities, have kids. And so it's easy to go into the trap of finding excuses or reason to not do a move. But if you want to make it happen, if you want something to happen and you work hard on it, I am pretty sure that it's going to happen. Mostly people who already have built such an important career. And so for me, there was no way that I could let my energy go down like this because we are damaging ourselves so much. I was coming back home. I didn't want to do anything. I wasn't smiling anymore. I was just exhausted. I had no interest in anything. So I don't think at that point that I could have tried to make it work or tried to find a better balance. I don't think for me that was possible. It is possible in many cases, but in my case, it's not, because I always do things with 100%, and here that wouldn't have been possible. I don't think so.
Yeah. It's very, very good that, that authenticity, being true to yourself. And then you went on and create Changing Minds. What's the mission behind Changing Minds?
The mission behind Changing Minds is to help people in this exact situation where they feel they have to choose between their career and their well-being. And often they only at least they have chosen for many years this ambition, and they don't know how to integrate both. So that's where Changing Mind is coming. There's a lot of mindset tools. We do a lot of coaching around certain topics. So basically we learn how to perform happier, meaning how can I perform and reach the top of whatever I want, and it can be very ambitious. But how do I do that without compromising myself, without sacrificing all of my personal life, and while keeping my authenticity? While keeping that fire that I have in me, that, uniqueness that I have. How do I manage that? And so we go back to the roots of you, basically, of everyone. And we start by introspecting and discovering, who are you? This simple question, yet extremely complex, needs to be figured out. And I think everyone should take some time to understand better who we are. How does our brain work? Our brain, not just the theory, but how does your brain work? What are your fears? What are your doubts? Like, who are you as a person? This is such a big strength. And if someone who already know how to get things done, get the clarity on who they are, and use that to their advantage, they're creating incredible things. And so that's the mission of Changing Mind, to change a little bit of the world by helping ambitious people to understand better who they are and to achieve ambitious goals while building a rich personal life.
So if I went to Lucie when you first moved to Dubai and asked, who are you? How would you have answered then? And how would you answer today?
I would have told you I'm a CFO at that time. I'm a hard worker. And that's it. I didn't know anything else about me. I didn't even play music for years. I didn't know anything. Mostly if you would have asked me, are you happy? I would have found reason to tell you that happiness is not really something. And, I would have tried to find reason to not be happy. If you ask who is Lucie today, Lucie, is ambitious, is driven, is sensitive, is a musician, is an entrepreneur, is a leader, is fun, is natural, authentic, normal, a simple person trying to do a bit of, my own way to that world.
What's the type of person who comes, you mean, in your coaching job today, and where are they in their life, and how do you see them? Is there a certain persona, a different avatar of people that are going through that questioning?
I think the people that are attracted the most to changing minds are people who have been through down the road of career already, so they have achieved most of their planned goal in terms of career. So mostly C-suite executive and above, business owner, people who understand and are very aware of what they want to improve. And also people who are suffering from that difference between what people think looking at their life and what is really happening in their life. So most of my people also are very ambitious. They have this sensitivity inside them, and they have this willingness to, get back to themselves. Finally, be more authentic, release the pressure of always being in control, always having to act a certain way. They are done with that. They really at a point and at a crossroad where they want to change their lifestyle. It doesn't mean, again, that they will not achieve great things, quite the opposite, but they are at a place where they don't want to live the way they live, and they are looking for more meaning, for more fulfillment and more clarity around what is it that they want to do and who they are.
So I come to you and say, Lucie, I need your help. Where do we start? What framework would you take me through?
So after my research, the time that I told you that I was looking for answer, I've realized one thing. The key in life to perform at your peak, both in your personal life and in your professional life, is down to just one word, which is intention. So intention means knowing why you do what you do and understanding why you're doing what you're doing. And to build intention, you need clarity of who you are, clarity of what you want, and clarity also of what is holding you back so far, okay? And so taking that into consideration, I've built a process that is called the RISE model that I put people through, We start with introspection. So introspection will be there to help you get the clarity of who you are and to really relax your mind with all of the question and the feeling of being overwhelmed with the what if scenario, the hypothesis, the what is going on and everything. Introspection will calm down your mind, and we do introspection with a lot of different tools. There are some questions, there are mindset tools, and coaching obviously helps a lot. And so that is the first phase. Once we have that, then and only then we can build a vision and objectives. When I talk about intention before, I've noticed that a lot of time we build goals based on, I don't know, oh yeah, it looks cool, I want to be a CEO. Or, oh yeah, I want to do that because it will bring money. But we don't create goals and we don't build intentional goal, which means more than that, more than the money. Everyone wants money. More than that, why do you pick that path? Exactly. What does it provide to you? What are the outcome of that? And why is that aligned with who you are? So it is important that the second step that I call alignment comes in second, not in first, after the introspection. After introspecting and understanding exactly who you are and what you want, only after you can build intentional goals, meaning a vision for yourself that is aligned with who you are. And that part is a very rational, practical part, because you need to be able to build a mindset where you don't let your fear and your doubt coming to the way. We are just building a plan. We're not talking about the how yet. Very important when it comes to mindset to first define where you want to go before thinking of the fear. And once we have aligned that, your life and your vision, then we start the growth part. And the growth part is what takes the most time. This is where you understand what is holding you back. This is where you understand what you need to add into your life in order to overcome your fear, what you need to do in order to grow and to get wherever you want to go. So even if someone has a very clear picture in their mind when they come to me, I always tell them, that's brilliant, let me check if that is intentional or not. So we go through that process together.
Now that's a very clear, structured, intentional approach. And I like when you say, starting with clarity. And I imagine, people coming to you, they are very, very successful, very driven. So they have had to make choices and they needed to make to have that clarity. So it's not something that maybe they didn't have before. Potentially along the way it's lost, or maybe don't want to listen into it. How do you what did you find why people felt that they don't have the clarity? Or is it that they think something and they express something different? Where does that confusion comes from and lack of clarity?
Money. Mostly it's money. I would love to be a singer, but it doesn't make money. I would love to work and have my own business, but I can't. It doesn't generate money. So money is the first thing that comes to our mind whenever we try to get clarity, because we start with the how, where it's not the how. It's first understanding really much what would ideally be the vision that you want for you. Now, if you're telling me I would love to be a basketball player and I'm 56 years old and I've never done basketball before, well, that's the ideal plan. We realize that it's not possible, but let's still make something that can maybe be in the same industry, or it's still possible, and it's always possible to do something that really matters to you, because the money will come, but it will not come if you're exhausted, you're tired, you don't have energy. Nothing will happen if you have the wrong mindset and the bad energy. However, if you are driven, if you are ambitious, if you have done some work before, if you have that experience and you have that resilience mindset, and if you're using that with a lot of ambition, then you will generate money. It's not a problem. And so I think that's really the main problem. There's a lot of fears. There's the fears of failure, the fear of, what others think about this transition, the fear of not being good enough, because there's a lot of things going on. But the most important thing that comes all the time is money, because we think first of the how before being excited and driven. And that is why Changing Minds is pretty much for people who have a certain experience, because I am sure, almost 100%, that people who work with me, when you activate this little fire inside, they're going to get things done. It's not a problem. I am not a coach for people who don't really know how to get things done, who needs help in productivity and focus. That's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is to really reconnect people with themselves and their strong desire, so they can perform at their peak and be happy at the same time.
Absolutely. And I think it's important you talked about fears, and to distinguish how much money is an excuse as opposed to really a true obstacle. For the people that successfully made the transition and reconnected with themselves, what was the tipping point? At what point do they realize that maybe money was not really a true reason? How did that come about?
Two things. The first thing is when they start understanding that it is possible to actually do something else, that there is another way of living. And I just want to add a precision. People don't come to me just to quit their job. Some people want to stay in their job, all right? And they just want to change their mindset so they can find more fulfillment in that case. But for the people who want to change or who want a different career, for example, it doesn't have to be with entrepreneurship. The first step is when they start understanding better what's going on in their minds, and they start managing better what's going on in their mind, and they start having the time to finally sit down and think about what is it that they would like. When they allow themselves to do that, you can already see a big difference. People are more relaxed, they smile more, they start having ideas. So that's the first let's say, tipping point. The second one, which I love, is the practical one of alignment, meaning that someone comes to me and say, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. So I ask the question, how much money do you need per month? Like really, if you don't make money, how much money are your expenses? So, and we go through the details of the details in order to make sure that we understand how much money do you have, how long can you last like this? And often, the result is that they can last maybe 6 months without generating money. And that is a strong realization. And I really invite people who want to go through a transition to ask themselves, how much money do you have, how much do you need, and how long you can survive? I did that myself too when I quit my job. I needed to know how long can I live without money, just in case, for the worst case scenario. And it's, your relief, because at the end of the day, if you fail in whatever you want, a new job, a new corporate, or an entrepreneurship journey, after those number of months or years, you can always go back and find another job. That's it. Yes, you would say, I failed, but that's okay. You've learned a lot, and that's it. So really, the tipping point is when we go, it works also for the working hours. Some people say, I didn't have time. Or last week, I didn't have time at all to do this, and this. So I ask, can you tell me what you do after 7 o'clock? Just for me to understand, from 7 o'clock to midnight, let's say, or 11, what are your tasks? And when you do that with someone, you realize that the problem is that it takes so much time in their head, but physically they have the time. It's just in their head, they're not there. They're tired, they're exhausted, they have a lot of questions. But when they come home, it's not that they're always working and doing something. It's just mentally they're not ready to even take some time to think of something else. And that's another topic. This is not about time anymore. And so those practical points, I like to use rationality and practicality in order to face the emotion, in order to face this feeling that I can't do it, then let's get very practical, as we would do in our job, You have a problem, you start to solve the answer with a lot of rationality and fact, and then we do that. We calculate the exact same thing, but for your life.
And then for employers, what can they do when they have team members who are going through these questionings? They don't necessarily want to leave or do something different, but they just don't have that fire anymore. How can companies support their colleagues, their employees through these changes?
One interesting thing that I've done before is to analyze the mindset of the leader and the mindset of the team. And I've seen that the mindset of the leader is always the same as the mindset of the team. I have a tool that is called the Mindset Factor Index. It's an assessment that you do where you can see the different mindset of people. And so by doing so and analyzing, I've seen that directly the mindset of the leader is the same of the team. So the first step, if I would be with an employer, would be to have a look at their leaders, even the employer itself, if they have some management, and saying, what is your mindset? Where are you mentally? Because that is having a big impact on the team. And secondly, I would say stop leadership presentation. Stop just 1 hour presentation. This is not working for people who have strong internal issues. You need to have a one-on-one individual process with people in order for them to find back this fire. It's not a skill. I really want to emphasize on that. We tend to fix everything with a skill, a new skill, hard skills, but it's not a skill. if you teach someone communication, but this person is not able to manage their emotion, they will not be able to communicate. Even if they know what to do in the process, it will not work. Same for leadership. You can teach leadership to any leader in the world. If that person is not inspired, if that person is not open to listen to other people, if that person doesn't know how to deal with the ego, is not going to inspire and empower your team. It's not going to happen, despite all of the training. So I would really say before the training, help them to understand themselves better, help them to go through a journey of self-discovery by themselves. Very important, because someone who has internal struggle will never be able to learn any other skills that you want them to learn. So make sure that they have a support, a one-on-one individual support, so they can talk through their issue, they can understand better what's going on, and so they are fully ready to then take on any other leadership training or anything else at the second step. So first, I would say focus on the leaders. If you can train both, then go ahead and do for everyone. But it has been proven, and I've seen it myself, that when the leaders have a shift and really change their mindset and are feeling better, the rest of the team is thriving also.
That's so important what you just said, and I truly believe that everything rises and falls on leadership, which is why I started this journey or talking and writing about leadership, and because I believe that, and as Greg Russell like to say, if you help the leader, if you improve the leader, everybody wins in the organization. And so what is your definition of leadership, and how has that evolved with the work that you are doing today?
For me, a good definition of leadership would be how much you're able to make others grow and how much you're inspiring others. As much as leadership can be learned, and you can learn some techniques and you can learn some skills, I still think that at the end of the day, when you look at the biggest leaders in the world, the reason why they are leaders is very intangible, and it's because people are motivated by their vision, people are motivated by their opinion, and they don't talk about them, they talk about others. They make people grow. They want something that is, much bigger than them. And I think that's really the most important thing. And my vision of leadership has never changed. I don't think so. Because I always was motivated by people who inspired me. I always did things, I'll give you an example. When I went to Ireland, I thought I would have an interview. And when I entered in the company, the boss over there did a presentation to me. And his presentation, I still remember it. He has a pyramid. And on the pyramid, there were three steps. The bigger one was written me. The second one was my family. And the third one was the business. And he told me, my role as your manager, as your boss, as your leader, is to make sure that you are feeling good. Because if you are not good, you will not be good with your family. And if that is not good, you're not going to come to work and perform well. And you see, it didn't come to me saying, oh, we're doing $3 million and we have this ABCD, the growth is going. He didn't talk to me about this thing. He didn't even talk to me about him. He just told me, this is how I work with people. Are you in? And he had me because we had the same values. We have the same opinion. We have the same, way of thinking. And I saw that he wanted good for me. And I think that's very important. When you're a leader, you have to understand that it is not about you. It's not about your power. It's not about your authority. It's not even about giving the right order. It's about being able to move people, as you said, so they can move mountain for you, so they can grow with you. And that is leadership. It is very utopic when I talk to it like this. I know it's much more complex than that, and that there's a lot of complexity to it. But no matter your skill, no matter where you're going, if you have people with you, and if you help them grow, and if you have a mission and a vision to bring them in, the everything else will be easy. So that's really what I believe in leadership, and how I work, and the people that I work with also. Even if last week I hired the marketing team, the woman in front of me was so passionate about what she was doing. That inspires me. She's not at a leadership position, but she inspires me. So she has that little thing that leaders are looking for. And I think we don't talk about this anymore, because the corporate world or the big companies, we want to have this image of performance. But what we, I think, are missing is that performance is even bigger and higher whenever you have a team that would fight for your company, that are coming with a smile. There's much more creativity, much more innovation. There's a lot of things in terms of performance that are coming when you are able to inspire and motivate your team.
Now that's so true. For me, leadership is about influence, and there's a lot of connection with what you said. It's about how you influence others into achieving a common goal, and to do that, and what I call self-empowered leaders, are characterized by two things. One is taking responsibility for everything that happened. Extreme ownership. You have to take ownership for everything that happens, including and for starting with the team, in order to be able to influence others to achieve the goal. And the second thing, which is very much what you describe, I call it love, because my definition of love is a commitment to the other's growth. You are committed to helping others grow, committing to helping your customer grow, committing to helping your team grow, committing to help your community grow. And it's that commitment that will drive you to find a solution to solve the problems that the organization is dedicated to doing. And when we remember that it's about commitment to growth, then everything falls into place. Then you're able to separate the petty thing for the most important one, the really, really true objective that we are going after, and not just about the positioning, the hierarchy. No, it's how do I help you grow? So really, really like what you said there.
No, that's really true. And I think when you have those two values that you just said, and you really believe in them, and you live your full life, not only your professional life, but your life with those values, what a life you will have. Both sides. Because when you understand that growth and making other people grow is important, then you understand that grow in general is important, so it's also good for you. When you understand that influence matters, and then you try to put that also in your personal life, that has a big impact in your life in general.
And a lot of what we talked about today is about identity, right? How people see themselves. Why do you think that so many people these days have these what I would call identity struggle, or trying to figure themselves out?
Because we are working hard. We are in a society where mostly when you have responsibilities, where working hard is rewarded, it has to be rewarded. Hard work is good, and this is where this is what will help you to get where you want to be. But unfortunately, we do not take the time to introspect. We do not take the time to check on us. You said something very interesting at the beginning of this podcast when you explained this IT guy talking through the crisis. I think because we are constantly growing, it is a must to check if we're still aligned. Sometimes we've built something, and at some point the environment that we are in is not the environment that we want anymore, because of a million reasons. But that's okay. What is not okay is to keep going without thinking, and just thinking about the money maybe, but not thinking about you in the process. So I think money for me plays a big role in the lack of introspection, the lack of asking questions, because if you actually sit down, I think 80% of people in this world, if they actually sit down and ask themselves is it really what you truly want to do? The answer is not really. Not because they hate their job, but maybe because there's something else that they would like to explore. And why are you not doing it? Because it will not generate money most of the time. So I would definitely say that this is what is preventing people from knowing themselves a bit more. It's just going through the motion, going through the day, and do whatever it takes in order to make sure that we can pay the bills, that we are moving forward, our career is good, and somehow we lose a bit of the sense of self. If you bring back a bit of sense of self, meaning understanding yourself a bit better in that journey, that can really help you to heal, that can help you to understand better your needs, and to really grow, change a bit your environment to just grow and make sure it's aligned with what you truly want.
And we are slowly coming closer and closer to the end of our conversation in our last section here. I like to ask some typical questions here, Lucie. If I was to take you back to Lucie 10 years ago, with everything that you know today, what advice would you give to Lucie of 10 years ago?
Take time for yourself. Don't forget to stop sometimes and take time for yourself. In my research, I've noticed that the more responsibility, the more high job title you have, the less self-esteem I see in the mindset. And I think because if you don't stop and if you don't, take some time to do things that matters to you other than work, it can be 1 hour a week, it doesn't matter. But if you take that time to understand better who you are and what you like and to do things that you like, then you're not so tight to your job title. So you're not so tight in that defining your whole identity. And so whenever something happens in your job, you don't struggle to come back from it because it's not your whole identity. Because when something happens at work, usually you don't have a lot of friends because you are working so much. You don't have a lot of self-esteem or understanding of what you want because you are caught so much with the job. So if you take that time, and that's really my advice to the youngest Lucie, is to just take some time not working and enjoy that time. Because it is precious. This time is telling you something and it's guiding you through your journey of performance within any career you're going to do.
And I think it's important. You talk about listening to yourself, and sometimes is identifying that voice and even trusting that voice in the midst of so many other things. And I would imagine that you'll find the same with people you work with. We live in a time of abundance. There's so many paths that we can take. There's so many things, and they are successful in their job. There's so many things that they can do, and it's choosing between the good and the great. Listening to those different voices and finding which one is really the one to follow. What do you think about that, and how do you help here?
No, I agree with you. There's so many things that are possible, and that's great. I mean, it's something great, but it's not great when you don't even have the time, or when you don't even take the time to just sit down and ask yourself some questions. I think, we put a lot of effort in our job, which is great, but we just need to use those skills in our personal life. If there is something that you don't know in your job, you're going to learn, right? Either you're going to have a diploma, either you're going to go on Google and look at seminars, free tools. If you have a problem, you're going to do everything you can to solve it at work, right? Then do the same in your personal life. If you don't know what you like, then dedicate some time to find the solution. If it's hiring a coach, hire a coach. If it's an online free workshop, then do that. But figure out and make sure that you put the same effort outside your job. I think that's must. That is a must.
Absolutely. I also like to ask the question: if you went 10 years in the future, and you could deliver a message to Lucie 10 years from now, what would you tell Lucie 10 years from now? We capsulate this segment and we're going to play in 10 years from today.
I hope and wish that the Lucie in 10 years will be very successful, and so she'll be very busy. So what I'm going to tell her is remember the people that are around you and the people that matter, and spend time with them. I have been asked recently a very interesting question that is close to what you said, which is if you have a magic stick, what would you like to know in the future of what's going to happen? And my answer was, I want to know at my 80, 90 years old who is next to me. Because I know that these are the people that I need to spend time with and that matter, and that is something very important. I know it's difficult when you have a big, high responsibility job and you have a lot of hours, and sometimes you don't have the time to spend as much as you want with your kid and your family. But I still believe that this is really, really important. It has been proven, by the way, that it's the number one reason why people live longer. So I would definitely remind myself to spend quality time with people I love, friends, family, colleague, whatever it is, taking time with them and not just focusing on my work, my time alone, and sacrificing everything just for my job, no matter if it's entrepreneurship or corporate.
That's so powerful. You're taking me back. I thinking about people next to you when you are 80 or 90. That tells a lot about how you feel about connection and relationship with others and people. Where do you think that comes from?
I am a very much loner as a person. I'm not someone who is with a lot of people all the time. I'm a bit introvert. I like my time alone. So it would be a lie if I would say that I love spending time with a lot of friends and things like this. But I've seen and I have lived the loneliness of what it is when you have no one to talk to, because you either think they don't understand or you don't know how to tell them because you don't want to be weak, you don't want to remove that image that everyone has of you, that you're super strong. So I know the feeling of being alone and dealing with things by yourself, and that's extremely difficult. And I see it every day when I talk with the people that I work with, how difficult it is to deal with things by yourself. And relationships are not easy because it implies managing your emotion a lot. It implies trusting yourself a lot. It implies being vulnerable. And I know it's a challenge, but from everything that I see, it's the only thing that matters. When you have someone next to you, a friend or a partner or a family or kids, when you have that, really, and you enjoy that, you're very rich. Extremely rich. From everyone that I've seen, the people that have a lot of money, the ones that are very rich and that are happy are the people that are surrounded. And it doesn't have to be 20%, but they are surrounded. They call when they need. They say when they are sad. They talk things through with other people. And I think, the role of coach, at least in my practice, often has that role. We have the tough conversation that they don't have because they didn't yet created that space with someone else. And they are not able to create that space with someone else because there's a lot of judgments. There's a lot of work to be done. And that's why it's powerful to understand your mind again. But still, because I see it every day, that really breaks my heart. And I think I'm very sensitive to that topic because I've seen the damage of loneliness. I've seen it. I lived it, and it is a pain that is very, very deep. And I don't wish that to anyone. And I think as Simon Sinek says, we should learn how to be a good friend. We should. We know we learn a lot about self-help and how to help ourselves and how to be a best version of ourselves, but we don't know how to help others. And as the result, the people that need help, they don't go and talk because they're not ready, certainly, but also because they didn't find the safe place to talk. So loneliness is something that I value in a sense that I understand, and I would never judge someone who is in that situation, and I think it should be talked much more. So that's where it comes from. I think I've seen a lot of lonely people close to me, and I've seen the damage, and I've lived it myself.
Yes, you're right. And I think also it's this dichotomy where we live in a time where with social media, we see a lot of people. We can DM anyone, we can make connection, but then really forming deep relationship, I think that's what is missing, and maybe people don't know how to do it. You're in Dubai, I'm in London, we have this conversation, we could build this connection much, much easier than any time before in time. Yet it seems to be more difficult these days to have and to form a deep friendship than before. And people don't like to talk about it because they don't know how to do it.
No, that's true. No, I agree, and it's the same. Of course, in Dubai, it's much more difficult to build meaningful relationship. I think there's a lot of intention there, meaning that what happened, at least from what I've seen, what happened a lot, you meet someone, it's maybe the 50th person that you have met this month, and even if you have a connection, even if you see, oh, that person is actually very interesting, you don't take the time to follow up. You don't take the time to continue the relationship because there's so many things happening, because there's so many stuff that you're thinking about. And so here is again the intention. What is your goal? Is your goal to spend your whole time working and only working to make the money and only be busy all the time because you want to make money and that's it? Or is your goal to make money and be successful, so you implement system that will help you to do that while having a rich, meaningful life? And then therefore, which means that you will send that message saying, hey, I think we had a great connection. Would you like to go for a drink, a coffee, a tea, a lunch, a dinner on any day of the week? And that is this intentional step to take. But you will not do that if you are not in your mind clear and relax, if I can say that. Because already people, we don't have time. We're busy. The career, the kids, the thing, you don't have time. So you don't, and we get caught in that, I don't know how we can call that crowded mind and space where, exactly. So we don't have time. And so because of that, we don't, even when we have a connection, we don't continue the connection because we don't take the time. So it's time to take back the ownership of our life. It's time to set up system where you can be productive, you can perform at your peak, you can achieve great things, but at the same time, you can also meet a friend, have a conversation with new people, but that needs to be intentional. If you're not at peace with yourself, if you are frustrating, if you're judging everyone, if you have a big ego that is damaging yourself, if you will not want that relationship. But if you're open, if you're calm, and if you're curious, then a lot of things are going to happen. And that comes with understanding better what's going on in your mind, managing your emotion, and adding intention within your life. At least that's how I see it.
You come across very clear about where you're going, how you see things happening. Where do you see changing minds? What's your journey there? Where are you taking it when we speak again next?
Well, I want to work with top leaders in the world because I know it is a challenge for them to deal with loneliness, for them to, create system where they can integrate both performance and a rich personal life. So I really want to get there and work in that sphere. That's my passion, and that's where I think I have the more expertise in. I am also building some private clubs for people, like-minded people, to meet and to have those tough conversations that we're talking about. So if we meet again In few years, I think the clubs will be working on. My clients would be those top leaders, and mostly I will have wrote a book because I'm working hard on writing a book to help more people to integrate their ambition and their fulfillment. There is a way where this is possible, and I strongly, at least I am committed to research and to share as much knowledge as I have in order to help people bridge that gap.
I can't wait to read your book because I can imagine that it's going to be such a full of wisdom. And in the meantime, what are 3 books that you will recommend our audience today and why?
Actually, I've prepared. I came prepared because it's very important. This book, Homecoming, from Thema Bryant. This book changed my life, and it's. I'm not exaggerating. This book is for people who have that deep emptiness, existential emptiness even, and the deep sadness that comes with in life in general. She is a psychologist, and so she's talking a lot about trauma, but she has put the words on what I couldn't figure out for many years, and she's one of the reasons why I think I am where I am today. So definitely recommend this one. The second one, for people who are interested in more science approach on how the minds work and why it works, to be able to visualize, to be able to understand better who you are. There is Joe Dispenza, one of the pillar in the mindset work. Actually, this man, he has survived to a broken back without medicine just because of his mindset. So he is pretty legit. He has a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. He mixes quantum physics with the mind. It's a bit scientific, but it's life-changing also. Very interesting to work on the subconscious mind. And for people who don't care about all of these things but just want to feel better and understand better what's going on in their mind, a very easy book is The Mountain Is You, from Brianna Waste. I'm not sure about my French accent, but that's why I put it here so I know that people can see it. The Mountain Is You is very easy to read for people who never ever done any type of personal development. It's really clear. It talks a lot about imposter syndrome, how to deal with some issue that you might have when you don't have confidence. It's actually a book that I recommend to everyone because it's a good book anyway, wherever you are in your life. It's very interesting to read that book. So those are the 3 books that I would recommend.
Thank you very much. You know, I started a series I call Reading for Leaders, where once a week I share one of the books recommended by guests in the podcast, and I like to read those books before I put it out. So it's so rich when things come, and I've already ordered Homecoming, and I'll let you know
Oh yes, let
about
me know
it.
if you like it. Yeah. It's the most difficult read is Joe Dispenza because there's a lot of quantum physics inside. But it's, if you really take the time to read it properly and to understand everything, it's incredible.
Thank you for that. Lucie, we covered a lot of things today. We touched on a lot of topics. And what is one question that you wish I asked you today, and how would you have answered it?
I think I wish you would have asked me, are you happy today? And I would have answered,
Are you happy today?
I am. I am, knowing that I understand that happiness is not a constant state and we are going through up and down, but I'm very proud to say that today I'm happy. And I'm finally aligned, between what I want and the life that I'm living, and that feels so good. It's such a relief, and I wish that feeling to everyone that is listening to this podcast.
What is happiness to you? What does it mean?
For me, happiness is this moment of time where you don't think, This moment of time where you're just in the flow. And so that's why I said it's not a constant state. I'm not always in the flow. There's up and down. But when you have things in your day that allows you to be in the flow, that allows you to do things where you don't think about anything else. You're just, when you do something and you don't see the time going, that for me is so good. It can be time with your friend, time with your family, time at work. It can be anything. But when you have those moments, then you're very, very close to happiness because you're enjoying and you're doing something that is fully in alignment with what you are and what you want, which is amazing.
Yes. You know what I like about your definition there, and for me that's so important. It's a state, it's a being, and it's not a possession. And a lot of the time people are looking or searching for happiness, thinking that this will make me happy because we think it's something that you have, whereas happiness is someone that you are. It's about being, and that's very much what you're describing there. It's how you are, and very, very powerful.
Yeah, it is, and it's a choice. It's a choice. You can, there's always different perspective. You can see things with a black glasses, I said, and you can see things with pink glasses. It's only a question of perspective. I heard, I don't know if you know David Laroche. He's French, so I don't think he has content in English. But he said something recently. He's a coach, a very well-known coach. And he said that because he has developed this mindset that he has where he can choose, he lost a child recently. A wife was pregnant and she lost the baby. And he said, despite that moment, I still think that I am at the best time in my life because my mind is so strong and I can still choose to see other things that brings me a bit back of inspiration and motivation and happiness despite the very hard time. So I think really that is a choice. It's not about accepting and being happy about negative things, but it's about looking at things in a way that you're not stuck in negativity and you pivot fast and go back into more positivity in your life.
Lucie, thank you so much for such a rich conversation. Really enjoyed it, and I'm sure our audience took a lot from it. What is your passing message for everyone listening to us today?
Everyone can be happy. Everyone can live a life where it's not everyday exhaustion, being tired and difficult. So if you feel that you still have it, you still want this, then fight for it. That is not that hard. This is not just the fluff that we say outside or that we listen to every day. There is a way where you can make money, be successful, and be happy. And that will only happen when you decide to really put all of your efforts and your skills also into your personal life.
Thank you very much. And where can people reach out to you if they want to continue this conversation?
So they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Lucie Lachaux. And they can also reach out to me on my website, which is www.changingmindscoaching.com.
Thank you very much, Lucie. And I can't wait to have another episode with you in a few years' time where you can tell us what future Lucie has accomplished in the meantime.
Thank you so much, Maxime. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
This was the Max Yao Leadership Podcast. Thank you for joining us. To listen to future episodes, you can subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. Until next time, keep being the leader everybody trusts and respects.